Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Be Her with Shalon. I'm Shalon, and today we are actually talking about, all month of February, we've been talking about relationships. And I want to talk about the most important relationship that you're ever going to have is the one with yourself. And how it's probably the most difficult one that you're going to have as well. Because throughout our lives, things, situations happen that make us believe that maybe we're not good enough, that we're unloved, that we're unlikable, that we don't belong, that we aren't worthy, that we're not deserving, that we're like, whatever, the list goes on. And those shape us into the person that we are today. They shape us into overgiving, into overcommitting, into overdoing, into taking on everybody else's responsibility, and sacrificing the things that we want, sacrificing the things that we need. None of this sounds very exciting right now, does it? But the beautiful thing is that all of these things, if we do the work, all of these things shape us into a stronger, more empowered version of ourselves. And the fact that you do the work and that you show up day after day after day is pretty incredible on its own. I was just talking with a client the other day, and we were talking about being like the cycle breakers, the black sheep, the change makers in the family, and that kind of stuff, and talking about how mentally and emotionally taxing it is, and how exhausting it can be, because on top of everything else that you do in your life that you have to take care of, whether it be your kids, your work, your business, your everything else, you also have to heal from everybody else's shit. And that in itself is exhausting. And people expect it from you. They expect you to do the healing that they don't want to do. And they expect you to still show up and maybe put on a happy face and pretend that everything's okay. And sometimes it's not. And I'm going to tell you that that's okay. You don't have to be okay all the time. This work isn't easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Everybody would do it. And they don't, because they don't want to. They don't want to address what's really going on. They don't want to do the things that it's going to take to make the changes. And I'm going to tell you that because you're doing it, that you're way stronger than you think you are. You might not be at where you want to be at in your life yet. And that's probably because you've spent most of your life just trying to survive, trying to find who you are, trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing in this life, just wanting to fit in, just wanting to belong, maybe wondering and figuring out what's wrong with me. Why can't I just be normal? Normal is literally just a setting on the dryer. There is no normal. You're probably the most normal one from everything. But today I just kind of felt like telling you that you're doing amazing. If you're here and you're doing the work, you're doing amazing. You're doing better than you actually think that you are doing, because you're the one who's actually doing the work. Okay? You're not bypassing, you're not pretending, you're not pushing things under the rug. You're doing the things to change your family, to change your lineage, to say no more. And that doesn't mean that you have to continue to tolerate the things that were happening. And it's not going to make other people like, you're probably going to get a lot of flack for it. Put it that way. You think that's easy on its own? It's not. Trust me, I know. When you start doing the healing, there's a lot of people in your life that aren't going to like it. You're going to trigger a lot of people in your life, especially when you start speaking truth that they don't want to hear. And that's just the reality of it. And people don't like to have those things reflected back to them. But that's why you're here, to do the work. Doesn't mean that you have to do it alone. Very likely your family is probably quite aware of it. Probably doesn't like what you have to say about it. Might not like you talking about it either. Doesn't mean that you stop. Doesn't mean that you quit. Doesn't mean that you stop doing the work, because that's why you're here. And like I said, if it was going to be easy, everybody else would do it too. The beautiful thing is that you have a very large lineage of ancestors that are supporting you along the way, who are cheering you on, who are guiding you, and who are helping you. Even on days when it feels like you're alone, they're there. And I want to talk to you about why this relationship with yourself and loving yourself is so fucking important. Because on days when you don't feel lovable, the only person you have is the one staring back at you in the mirror. And this can be a very, very lonely journey, especially when you outgrow people, places, things, roles that people expect you to play. When you're trying to opt out of them, when you don't want to play that role anymore, it's when you need to love yourself the most. There's lots of times where I felt lonely on this journey. Lots of times where I felt like nobody was there for me, because they don't understand. As much as they would love to think they understand, they don't understand. Only people that actually are doing this work and making the changes and showing up every day, all the time, are the ones who actually really understand. And that's why soul family is so important with all of this. And every time I think of soul family, I think of my grandma. She used to, at our family reunions and whatever else, she used to have this the sign that she made, because I came from a very, very, very big family and don't even know half of them, honestly. And her sign would say, "There are no strangers here, only family we haven't met." And I feel like that's very, very true for this earth life that we're living, that, you know, they're all strangers until you discover your soul family, right? And when you're born into this world and you think that your family are the ones that are going to get you and are going to resonate with you and are going to do whatever else, like, and it it ends up that it's it's not like, it's your soul family, the ones that you find along the way, the ones that resonate with you, the ones that understand, the ones that get you. They're the ones that are going to be your biggest advocates and your biggest cheerleaders, and they're going to be the ones that show up for you all the time. They're going to be the ones that are going to say, "Yes, me too." And you're going to be able to talk to them, and you're going to be able to confide in them, and they're going to be able to understand what you're talking about. They're going to get it because they've done this, because they've lived it, because they are living it, because they're in the shit with you. And they're going to support you through it because they're going to know how to as well. And that starts like the longest journey you're ever going to take is the one back to yourself, because it's every day. It's every day rediscovering who you are, what resonates with you, what doesn't resonate with you. We're going through a very transformational time in our lives right now. Very transformational. We are wrapping up the year of the snake. We are wrapping up a 9-year cycle, and we are moving into the year of the horse. We have entered into the age of Aquarius, and there are so many things changing, and that means you too. That means the things that maybe used to bring you joy and happiness and light you up and you thought were your passions and everything else just aren't. They aren't anymore. They're not cutting it. And so this is where you get to rediscover and re-explore and feel like in your heart and your soul what lights you up and what you want to do. It's an ever unfolding journey. And when the journey's over, then guess what? It's really over. Really over. And I always say to I'm not coming back. When I'm done, I am not coming back. And I truly believe that, actually. And I think that's why I work with lots of the ascended masters, like with the goddesses and that kind of stuff. Which, like, I'm getting full body goosebumps for that's like confirmation or whatever. And I feel like lots of us who are here, trying to birth this new age into creation, birth the age of Aquarius, one that is formed on harmony and union and oneness and wholeness. All of that starts within. All of that starts within. That's why I created the sacred reset, so that you have a place to go where you can come back to yourself over and over and over again, because I understand that it's hard to do this alone, to be the only one and feel like you have nowhere to go. Might get some shit for this too. Who knows? Very interesting things happen when you start to speak your truth. Because sometimes your truth doesn't sit well with other people. But it's still your truth. And they don't get to tell you any other way. Only you lived what you lived through in your life. And all of it happened for you. Yes. So that you can do the work. So that you would do the work. So that you would choose differently than your family, than your friends, than whoever else. Maybe your teachers, maybe your whatever it is, partners, past partners. It all happened for you. But you're still the one who experienced it. And you don't have to bypass that. You don't have to just pretend like it didn't happen. That's not part of healing. And anybody else dismissing that from you, they don't get to. They don't get to pretend that it didn't happen. They don't get to pretend that it didn't affect you the way you did. You're still allowed to process through those experiences. It's how we change things. I feel like this is a very heavy, heavy podcast today. But I felt like it needed to be talked about because so many times we think that this journey back to yourself is all love and light and la-di-da and whatever else, and it's not. It's about going into the darkness and going into the shadows and bringing those to the light. Do you know who's going to save this world? Are the dark goddesses, the ones who have lived in the shadows, the ones who were sent into exile, the ones who were lied to and mistreated. They're the ones who are supporting us through all of this. That's who I work with. The ones who will take no shit from anybody and would rather be exiled to the darkness than to not speak their truth. You are that powerful. And that's why we're here. That's why I help women step into their power. But you can't do that without a little darkness. And I have been so far into the darkness that I have no problem going there with women or men. No problem at all. I've been there on days where I didn't want to carry on. Nobody would know that because I went through it myself. Nobody knows the demons that you fight on a daily basis. Nobody else knows those. And you do it for your family. You do it for your lineage. And sometimes they are your biggest teachers. That's why you were born into them. And the thing is when you go into the shadows, all of those truths are brought to the light. And there is a lot of truth being revealed in society, within your life, maybe within your homes, within your families, within your friendships, within work, within everything else. And not everybody is going to want to look at them. This is where the tower is crumbling. This is where everything that was built on faulty foundations is done. And there's no going back. And this is where we came to help build this new world. one where there's union, one where there's harmony, and that all starts with Him. As within, so without. I understand that there's a lot of people that might not resonate with this podcast. That's okay. Probably didn't listen this far if you didn't, or if you didn't. But this is why I created the Sacred Reset. This is why I created Self Love Queen Academy, because I've gone through all of this stuff. I've done the work. I continuously do the work on a day-to-day basis. I didn't love myself. I didn't. I actually hated being me so much because I was made fun of, because I was teased, because I felt like I felt unloved. I settled in relationships. And I settled in relationships because all I wanted to do was feel wanted, to feel needed, to feel, yeah, to feel loved. And I didn't realize that I was the one who had to love myself. We grew up in this society where we believed that we graduated from high school, found a partner, or got a career, found a partner, got married, had kids, and we all live happily ever after. Whatever happily ever after looked like. There's been a very skewed perception in society about what relationships are meant to look like. Very skewed. And the way that society has changed, relationships in general have changed as well. Women don't need men like we used to. We don't need them for survival anymore. We need them to step up in a different way, to be to be compassionate and to be emotional and to be connected and to be open and to be able to support us, mind, body, soul. And lots of men are struggling with that. And that's why we have what they call what is it? The lonely men epidemic or whatever it is. Those men have a choice to do the work, to show up. But that's ancestral healing. I was shown this reel the other day about forgive your parents because they didn't know better. They didn't have the resources and they were living in survival. Our parents grew up in a very different time than we did. Yes. We don't forgive people for them, we forgive them for us. Because to carry that heaviness is very, very hard. But our parents also have the tools now, too. They have the awareness. Some of them have the awareness. They have the tools now as well to do the healing and the work and everything else. They have the resources now. And we aren't living in the same time as our parents, where there wasn't as much like threat in society as there is now. Everything that has come out in the world, all the truths that have been revealed, don't paint a pretty picture for the future. If you've seen, maybe you haven't. And that's why it's so, so important for us to come together now. Because we are creating this new world and we are shifting and changing this new world. That's why all of this stuff is happening. I know this is like the Be Her with Shalon podcast, but this is about being yourself, coming back to yourself, creating this love in the world, right? As within, so without, and being true to who you are and however you're going to show up in the world, whatever that may look like, without being stifled, without people telling you what you can or cannot do and cannot say and whatever else. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to tell you what you should or should not be doing. We saw that how many years ago when there was a very big divide in our world. That is what they want us thinking about. Being divided, being against each other, living in fear. Fear feeds the masses, but love and harmony can heal it. And that all starts within, and loving yourself and the person that is staring back at you in the mirror, because that is the most important relationship you're ever going to have, is the one with yourself. And when you look at yourself in the mirror every day, you need to be happy with the person who's staring back at you. You need to be happy with that person, not anybody else. You're not here to please anybody else and make anybody else happy. Do what you want to do and do what lights you up and do what makes you happy. Do the things that bring you joy. Don't worry so much about what everybody else thinks and what everybody else wants you to do. Be true to you. Last I checked, those people aren't paying your bills. They're not the ones doing all of those things for you. You're the one who's taking care of things. You're the one who's taking care of whatever it is, your house, your pets, your home, your kids, your work, your job, your all of the things. You're the one who has to do that. Nobody else. Nobody else gets a say in your life. You do. And that's why you are your most important relationship. Because if you're not happy with yourself, nobody else around you is going to be happy either. If you don't love yourself, how do you expect anybody else to love you too? And when other people are causing shit in your life, it's usually because they're very unhappy in their own. So, if you're feeling like you're needing to rediscover who you are and reconnect with yourself and come back home to yourself over and over and over again and let go of all the past projections and patterns and everything else that are happening in your life, Self Love Queen Academy is starting in March. It's my 12-week group coaching program where we break down all the labels and projections and limiting beliefs and negative mindset and everything that has been thrust upon you that is keeping you stuck from being true to who you are and how you want to show up in this world and being authentic to yourself and going after what it is that you want in your life. There's many other ways to work with me as well, and I'll have the links for all of that in the description below. But I feel like I'm going to leave this on this note today. Just remember that you are the love of your life. You're the love of your life. And that's all that matters. And that will attract to you the amount of love you have for yourself will attract to you through a partner if that's what you're desiring. Considering we're in the month of February and it's all about love, honey. I'm sending you all so much love and appreciation. And thank you for allowing me to share my truth as well and to guide you along your journey. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care.